Today we're talking to my old friend Stefan Barnes.
What was 13-year-old Stefan like?
He was fat, low self-esteem.
He got over that, went on to work for Cirque du Soleil and on Broadway. How he did that?
A lot of making mistakes and learning from the mistakes and being humble enough to realize that I'm not perfect. And I think that's core point to low self-esteem is you don't think highly of yourself. So you don't try to raise yourself up. You don't try to step above yourself.
His family also played a big role in that. His village, that community of people, provided something for him.
That I had the security and the safe space to fail and to learn from those failures. But I had the ability to fall, but there was still someone close enough to teach me how to get up. Not to help me up, but to show me how to get up.
And some valuable lessons from a divorce, moving into another.
Because something that she said is a failed marriage or failed relationship is not ever failed if you come out a better human.
Oh yeah, did I mention he grew up in New York?
I outwardly support and love the nation that I'm a member of, that my state is a member of. I am a New Yorker, I'm not an American.
He's a good guy with a solid character, and now there are things to be said.
Racism and bigotry and prejudice is going to exist as long as there are people who are slightly different. To be respected, you must give respect. To be heard, you must hear.
I've only known Stefan a couple years. I met him at Cirque. But it's always nice to talk with a good, solid human being with good values. I hope you enjoy on the Formidable Me channel.
Well, hello, young man.
Hello, my brother. Let's see here. I'm gonna flip it this way now.
You're right, set up.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know you're busy. What are you working on these days?
Nothing. We're all unemployed.
Nothing at all, man.
No, that's not true. Yeah, Broadway shut down March 12th. My partner is a dresser, so she as well. We both got laid off the same day, and we both got sick. After we got better, I've been just trying to make use of the fact that I can't work. So I've been doing a lot of online trainings and studyings.
You have always stood out to me as Mr. Chivalry. I'm curious. Tell me about what was 13-year-old Stefan like?
He was fat, low self-esteem. He was the tallest kid in the class, the fattest kid in the class, and he got good grades and got picked on a lot and tried to avoid confrontation as best as possible, which often left me in a place of not feeling the most valued, but was loved at home, but had a lot of resistance in the social settings.
Tell me about your home. How is that factored in? Your family, you're Brooklyn, and now that 13-year-old kid.
In New York, I mean, I think the biggest aspect of what New York brought was the crossroads of the world. I arrogantly, commonly refer to it as the center of the universe. It just, growing up around people from all different colors, creeds, backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, social backgrounds, being the melting pot of the world in some respects. And historically for the United States, in the history of this nation, it has been the melting pot. Everyone did come through here at one point. So being surrounded by all those ideas left me with a desire, which was definitely encouraged and supported by my parents, to question everything, nurtured, yes, to question, to try to understand, to be inquisitive. But I mean, in some respects, and the household I grew up in, I feel like I was really blessed. I was raised in a home of love. My parents still to this day walk hand in hand in their late 70s, walk down the street hand in hand. And they did such a good job of not letting my sister and I ever see them fight, that I developed the idea that arguments in a relationship are really bad and you should avoid them as best as possible.
Interesting.
Conflict should be. And I got divorced about 3.5 years ago. And I think a lot of that was outside of distance and just general idea of us going in different directions of life. A lot of it was about communication. My current relationship with my fiance Susha, she is very much a brash, in your face type of person. So she's made me step up to be more communicative, Like if something is bothering me, I used to always just like, I'll just wash it under the rug. And she really challenges me to step up and ask the questions that are uncomfortable and be confrontational if they need to be, and scream at each other if we need to scream at each other, but with not that I say that I think that was necessarily what was required out of my ex-marriage. I lived on different sides of the world for large chunks of our relationship, but we made the choice. We both chose, because everything in life is a choice, right? So
yes, amen.
And we both chose, no matter how much we loved each other, we still chose our careers. She chose to perform in Asia, and I chose to continue to tour with the circus. We never, in some respects, wholeheartedly put the relationship first. I stopped touring. She stopped performing overseas and came back home. She chose Berkeley, which was a choice. And I then, instead of moving my life to Boston, I chose to stay in New York, which was still a choice. Yeah. And I learned a lot from that. And in my current relationship, I'm making the conscious choice. We make the conscious choice to talk about everything together, to do things together, to put the relationship first with respect to each other's own desires and dreams, but, you know, to see how those desires and dreams can work within our existence and our relationships. We're always still learning. We're always still asking the question, like, is this the right direction we're going? What are we doing? What's the next step?
Go back to that 13-year-old insecure, low self-esteem, Stefan, and you have a voice, but this is coming from that kid to now this adult. What's the connection there?
It probably comes from a lot of tripping. A lot of making mistakes and learning from the mistakes and being humble enough to realize that I'm not perfect. And I think that in some respects is what was definitely a core point to low self-esteem, is you don't think highly of yourself. So you don't try to raise yourself up. You don't try to step above yourself. So
it's scary.
It can be debilitating at one point, but also at the same point, sort of humbling into realizing that I am not the center of the universe. I try to work with others. I try to be a part of a community. It was a certain level of humility that I received. I didn't go into the room thinking I was the best person in the room, but after trying my best, I realized I was not so bad. And I think a lot of that comes from the community that you're around. Oh, that's where I was going. There's a community effort. Like, I was lucky enough and blessed enough to be around people who encouraged me to do what I wanted to do. So for me, I think it was just realizing that I had the security and the safe space to fail and to learn from those failures. But I had the ability to fall, but there was still someone close enough to teach me how to get up, not to help me up, but to show me how to get up. And I think that kind of, and I still to this day, you know, as a 44-year-old man, I still have issues with confidence and people pleasing, and I'm blessed enough to know that I have problems.
Isn't that great?
There's things. Well, okay, let's change it. I don't have problems. I have challenges. All challenges have a solution. They're not issues. They're challenges with solutions. And life is a constant looking for challenges.
Looking for challenges. I love that.
Looking for challenges that needs, and I think that's what that's my biggest, the thing that brings me the most joy is finding solutions for challenges. Fortunately, my current job, when I had a job, was doing repetitive motion, but that paid me really comfortably. So the challenge of having a comfortable lifestyle and providing for my family was solved. I just needed to find the solution, or find the solution to the challenge of something that inspired me.
You're running, you're biking.
A form of meditation.
Yeah. Oh, very good. So the fire is burning there. What's the challenge here, and how do we fix it?
What do you mean?
Well,
which fire?
Yeah, man, it's just all hit it. It's just, everything's exploding.
I'm glad you filtered out and just got the simple questions to ask me. There is no immediate solution. One of the things that I hold true to and often repeated in my posts, and I've heard plenty of times, is it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
And our society is based on sprints. They like short, quick, immediate solutions.
Mm-hmm.
The Washington Redskins have finally changed their name after 30 years of protesting.
Right.
And in the end, the only reason they changed their name was because enough corporations were shamed into believing that it was wrong that they pulled their money. So it's a justice, but it's not probably the justice that we were looking for.
Right.
Because in the end, they didn't change their mind. They're not less racist. They're
right.
just worried about staying rich. The one thing that I have been doing, I've been doing a couple of Zoom lectures and community organization events, and the one thing that was constantly put up is just listening. It's time for people to listen more, process, and speak if they need to speak, not because they want to speak.
Speaking from a space of emotional reaction, instead engage critical thinking, listen.
Well, and also just listen.
Hear.
I mean, like, it's the whole. I don't know. I get there's issues on both sides.
Sure.
We got racist bullshit, but you also have people, and mind you, members of the Black community and the brown community have been disenfranchised and beat up for hundreds of years. So of course they're pissed. And if you're pissed, the first opportunity you get, if you're angry, is to lash out. So there's a lot of shaming people into feeling bad about not doing their part. Is that productive? Maybe in the short term, it makes you feel a little better. But when people act out of fear, they don't act rationally. So if you're fearful, like, oh, I haven't done enough. And that's where the marathon and the sprint situation comes in, because everyone's like, for the first 2 weeks of June, I went and protested every single day. Some days, not because I chose to, but because I live in an area where literally for 2 to 3 weeks, a protest went down my block every single day. So all I had to do was literally be, finishing dinner. Hey, look, there's a protest. Let's go down and join it.
Yeah.
So I had a privilege of protesting, which is a privilege nonetheless. I outwardly support and love the nation that I'm a member of, that my state is a member of. I am a New Yorker. I'm not an American. We as a nation are so vastly different. It's hard to say that
one nation,
in my opinion. But I do believe that our spirit is one that, yes, we have been as a nation horribly destructive to disenfranchised people, non-white people. But I don't see many other nations out there that can overcome it of the size that we are. Racism and bigotry and prejudice is going to exist as long as there are people who are slightly different.
Right.
We can start every day. I mean, if you think about it, yes, civil rights movement only happened in the 60s. It was still only 50 years ago.
Not so long ago, right?
Not so long ago, but when you think about what we've achieved in 50 years, it gives hope for the fact compared to what the previous 100 years to the civil rights. So
yeah, man.
I think it's just got to keep going. You can't give in to hate. You can't give up. I've never in any of the shit that our country has gone through ever thought about wanting to leave. Yeah. I will admit that if 45 gets reelected, I am going to seriously consider it, because then that just shows that either our system is so broken, or there are so many people in this country that are so ignorant to being stabbed in the back and not even realizing it.
Right. 45? When you say 45?
Current president of the United States, his name shall not be used. Our Voldemort.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess back to your original point. I mean, the one thing that has come out of a lot of discussions I've had is listening. And the other point is that every human being, we all, no matter what color we are, what religion we are, what background we all share the same core goals, which no one wants to admit, is we want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want the best for our family.
want to be respected.
The problem is the humility of, to be respected, you must give respect. To be heard, you must hear. But I mean, that came down. It's like white races in Alabama have the same goals as black men and women in Alabama, is that all they want is the best for their family. The unfortunate nature is that in certain people's beliefs, the best for their family is the eradication of other people.
Man, it doesn't work. A 13-year-old boy, the fattest kid, smart, but, takes off and then becomes and picks up his pants and becomes something of a voice for a better cause. I love the story. It's what all good novels are made of.
Just like too bad I can't spell.
Good. So what is next? What do you...
Building a family. Effectively, I've just been recently reaching on this idea of, wanting to find a home in New York here where I could potentially have my parents who are aging. The idea of what I grew up in, which I think that's the, I'm not sure I pitched on it, but I'm a firm believer in that phrase, it takes a village. Growing up, both my parents worked. They did the hot swap. Mom worked overnight, dad worked during the days. So I had the vision of a working life family. I think that's probably what induced what I believe in today. But also, grandparents were very much part of our existence. And then when we moved from that neighborhood where I was originally born to the neighborhood where my parents still live, my parents moved into the house 2 doors down from my mom's mom, which was around the corner from my dad's mom and dad. So it was just a relationship of us all growing up around each other and family being an incredible part of it. I want to do that for myself, with future generations, and then also having my parents around to help with that. I have been blessed with a lot of success professionally, and some personal success as well. But now I think I'm more focusing on the personal success. I have thought about different career choices, forcefully thought about it, because theater is not a pandemic-proof industry.
Right. What's the difference between, for you, your professional successes and your personal successes?
I mean, professional successes are easily quantifiable. You can say, oh yeah, I toured with Cirque du Soleil for X number of years. I was a head of department with Cirque du Soleil for X number of years. I'm a union member, a union stagehand on Broadway. As a person working in entertainment, I was able to buy an apartment in New York City. I have financial comfortability because of choices.
Love it.
But the difference is personal gains are stuff that are only quantifiable by me. I was married for 8 years, and some parts were miserable and some parts were amazing, but I came out a better human being. So it wasn't a failed marriage. I don't know if you're familiar with the writer Glenna Doyle.
No, I'm not.
Because something that she said is a failed marriage or failed relationship is not ever failed if you come out a better human. And that was something that I looked into attributing once Xylee and I went to couples therapy, was I just wanted to if we couldn't work on it, if we couldn't make it work, I wanted to implement triage so that we both came out learning what we needed to learn, realizing our character flaws and the things that we needed to work on, so that whatever relationship we went into next, we went in as better human beings. The challenges that Susha gave me to sort of step up and really express my emotions more and say what I wanted definitely brought a lot more out.
How do you deliver those emotions? Like, that can be explosive.
It could be, yeah. I've realized one of the things I definitely realized as of late, which is interesting to relate to what I described the 13-year-old self is one of my triggers is misrepresentation of my character. If I ever feel that someone doesn't see who I think I am, or qualities I think I am, it usually, I get very triggered, and unfortunately, I'm getting much better at it, but my previous reaction would be to get angry. Now it's, why do you feel that way? Usually then it's followed up by a little bit of anger.
What scares you, Stefan?
Maybe that point of being misunderstood. Yeah, being misunderstood, and or equally the positive response to it, but there's also the idea of making the wrong choice.
Is there a
Sometimes
wrong choice?
Well, it all depends if you're happy with the outcome.
And but that might be a choice also, and not to get too ridiculous on the matter, but I think I've reached a point in my life where there's some great liberation. Like it takes some pressure off when the minute I said, you know, I got the three choices here. And the minute I say, it doesn't matter what you choose, even if it's a wrong choice and it didn't get me the result I hoped for, there's something I will learn and garner from that experience. I'll come out stronger on the other end. And there it is. You know, my life is, I keep moving forward one day at a time. So the idea of somebody, you know, your child, they're going to make choices and you're going to go, okay, that wasn't smart, but what'd you learn from it? And so I've enjoyed taking that element of fear out of the equation just a bit. There's still fear in different ways, but there is something to just going, you know, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. And if I don't like it, all right, I'm going to take that shirt off and I'll throw it away. But there's no harm in trying something. And I really want to encourage people because I don't like the idea. And I think maybe this is some of my religious background, which I found very constricting. But I like the idea that I can try anything. Just try. You're not gonna take the next step unless you try. So try. And there is no wrong. There are some choices will get you better results than the other, but that's how you learn.
You know, I definitely, exactly. I think there is a freedom of just giving up on not giving into the fear of making the choice, but there's always still that fear of like, well, what's going to be the outcome?
Right.
I've always, it's been often referred to or of being overthinking, but I don't trust that anything is going to work out how I expect it to work out. So I often will come up with backup plan A, B, C, and D so that when it does fall apart, I've got something to fall back on. But I still have that urge in myself that I make choices for me as well as those I love around me.
Yeah.
So I have that urge, and that's what drives me forward a little bit is like, especially now I have a fiance and I have a dog, but choices that I make are not just about me.
Right.
And it's sometimes it's that battle that you find, the yin and yang of life is not all about you, but sometimes it's actually healthy to make it about you. Sometimes you have to be self-cared, focused, and take care of yourself, but also find that balance between self-care and self-evaluation without being selfish.
I think that's super important. I think we must take care of ourselves, because when you show up to battle, I want you well rested. I want you well nutritioned. I want your head straight, you know, your body to be strong. You want to show up at the game when it's time to play ball. Man, be ready to go. Do what you have to show up in your marriage healthy and strong. That's your responsibility. That's your choice. It's your honor. It's your duty.
And I think that's my one of my biggest takeaways of my last 44 years is making sure that I have to remind myself, no one can come first above me.
Okay. And how exactly are you taking care of yourself first? Like, you know, now if someone's watching this going, okay, be specific with me. What is taking care of yourself first?
I mean, there's the immediate superficial side of it, which can be exercise, eating well, sleeping well, watching the physical temple, taking care of the physical temple. And then there's also the emotional and mental temple, which is listening to yourself. If someone asks you to go out to dinner and you're like, you know, I don't really want to go, but I'm going to go because they really need help. Just don't go. Listen to yourself. But I mean, that is bigger than anything else, is learning to listen to yourself. And I couldn't even quantify how that's physically possible or mentally possible, but it's something that you learn as potentially over time of making mistakes, of going, okay, I didn't listen to myself and this is what happened.
Yeah.
That's what that felt like. So try to remember that feeling. So the next time you feel it, you're like, oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm currently not giving about me. I'm giving it all to them. And that's the people pleasing that I've been working on, of like,
cool.
You know, giving people the benefit of the doubt when they treat you like dirt, knowing your own self-worth and listening to your own self-worth and believing that you are worthy of respect, but at the same time finding that balance where you're not getting full of yourself, but fully filling yourself.
That is a finesse. That's a careful dance, isn't it? Well, Stefan, thank you for taking this hour just to chat.
No worries, sir.
There's just so much great stuff in who you are and who you've become. And I think that people that get to work with you or be in your village are certainly better people for it. And I know you're greatly admired and respected from that circle of friends and kids who have looked up to you as a mentor, and your dog.
Well, she has to love me. I feed her. Well, thank you for your kind words. That's very humbling and really nice to hear. It's always good to hear positive reinforcement every once in a while.
It is. We don't get it enough sometimes. I wish you all the best, Stefan.
Thanks, buddy.
And I look forward to the next time our paths cross. Until our paths cross again. Yeah.
Happy Wednesday.
Thank you. And I hope that tomorrow you have a good Wednesday.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right,
man.
We'll catch you later.
Bye. Ciao.